Oh, it's on. Let's go. Welcome to the Lights, Camera, Action Entertainment Reviews Podcast.
Let's track this from the beginning. We start with something pure. Something exciting. Then, deal with something new. Yeah. Told you. Okay so far? You like it? I'm feeling it. Yeah. Why stop there?
Our Marvel Cinematic Universe retrospective continues.
This is it. This is the path I started us on.
On this episode, we will be discussing and reviewing Marvel's Phase 2.
Our very strength invites challenge. Challenge incites conflict.
This episode will contain spoilers.
Conflict breeds catastrophe. The thing isn't beautiful because it lasts.
I am inevitable. And I am Iron Man. What a sweet-ass run it's been. Epic forces of darkness and light. What a world. Universe now.
And now, here are your hosts for this retrospective, Mike Winkler, Alistair Englehart, Daniel English, and Jeremy Larson. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another Lights, Camera, Action Marvel Cinematic Universe retrospective. We have now officially moved on to Phase 2, and I'm ready for a pretty good discussion, especially on Thor The Dark World. I know that's going to be interesting with all of us here. I am Mike Winkler, back here with Alistair Englehart, Jeremy Larson, and Daniel English. Welcome back, gentlemen.
Hey. Good to be back.
I wanted to start the podcast off. I wanted to give Jeremy Larson a chance to start talking about his streaming channel for you all to join and listen in. So go ahead, Jeremy.
Well, if you tire of listening to the three other guys that are here in the video with me, awesome. you can always join me by myself or with friends over at my Twitch channel at Condiment Games. You can also follow me on Twitter for pictures of my son, random nerd thoughts, and anything else.
I have texting.
What's your Twitter handle?
Oh, my Twitter handle is at condiment_games.
Nice.
What games have you been working on recently, Jeremy?
Oh gosh, I need to finish up Star Wars, the Jedi Fallen Order game. I haven't gotten through that yet. We were playing Enter the Gungeon recently because I ran out of other things to play, and when my buddy Ryan gets back from his little vacation, we're going to be finishing up Journey to the Savage Planet.
Cool.
Nice.
So plenty of different games going on.
Mm-hmm.
So to all the listeners out there, go check him out. It's probably a badass channel. I'm going to check it out now. I want to see. I want to
follow. We have
a podcast to do, Mike.
We've got some dope emotes over there. Okay. Ad-free viewing. Subscribe at Tier 3. Anyway, back to the podcast.
All right. So on tonight's podcast, what we got, guys? We got Iron Man 3, The Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers, Ant-Man, and the other one is
what? That's it.
Oh, talking about
Oh,
Iron
no, you
Man-
already said Iron Man 3. You already said that.
Yeah.
What is the other one?
talking about Thor, the Thor The Dark World.
There you go. I was waiting
Oh.
for that.
Oh, Thor the of course.
There you go.
Right.
I was
You
thinking
skipped it.
Hulk.
Yeah, we're gonna go back and talk about the but yeah, let's
Can
dive
we
right
just
into
go in release order? Iron Man 3.
let's dive right into Iron Man 3. Who wants to kick it off?
So I was surprised because I feel like I'm probably biased, but I don't think there's a movie yet in the entire MCU that I have not enjoyed. I feel like Iron Man 3 got a lot of criticism, and I liked it. I thought it broke the mold of what the Iron Man movies before it were. Because I mentioned in the last podcast how we talked a little bit about how Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2 are really just Iron Man looking to fight an enemy who has his arc reactor technology and has a suit like he does. So I thought it was really cool that they had a group of people with the Extremis organization creating a different kind of bad guy for Iron Man, and I loved that they put Pepper in the suit. I felt like Happy was a hilarious addition. I like four-headed security is probably my favorite joke in that entire movie.
Yep.
I liked it. I thought it was really cool.
I was so glad Jon Favreau came back because since he wasn't directing this time around, I would have thought maybe he wouldn't have been in it, but thankfully he was because he's a great addition to the universe.
I really enjoyed it too. When I was reading the criticisms, I guess I hadn't realized that a lot of it seemed to have come from the user base, that a fan base that's a bit more familiar with the comics. Like I saw a lot of feedback on the Mandarin and the faithfulness there to the Mandarin as he was originally created. I had no idea any of that background context, but I really enjoyed it. I
What
thought
was
Killian
that term? I
epic.
heard that. So the Mandarin was originally a Vietnamese guy in the comics, right?
Yeah, he's definitely Oriental.
There was some kind of term for the casting of villains in those Asian roles at that time. Maybe it was related to like the Korean conflict or the Vietnam War or something like that. But I found him to be hilarious. I loved how serious he felt, but then how he was just a front. I loved that twist. That was a lot of fun.
Ben Kingsley is an amazing actor.
He is.
So-
You ever see him in Tuck Everlasting?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, he was in that movie.
He was. Yep.
Man, he appears
Yeah.
like everywhere. He just like that guy that
does.
just appears in a bunch of different movies.
He
Prince
does a lot of
Persia
different
is
types of
another one.
roles. Yeah. He's a very talented actor.
Yellow Peril.
Yeah, I was with you. Dan.
Yellow
I was very
Terror.
surprised.
Or Yellow Spectre. That's what it was called. The
Yellow
Yellow
Spectre.
Peril is a racist color metaphor that misrepresents the peoples of East Asia as an existential danger to the Western world. So they moved away from that a little bit.
Huh.
I don't know. Just
Yeah, I think the one thing about him, the Mandarin, the most that I bothered me the most was the payoff at the end of the movie. You know, he was hyped up as the big villain, and then it turns out it was one big fake out. I know that pissed off a lot of people to begin with. I know a lot of fans were upset about that.
But it was such a good scene that revealed it.
It is, though. You're
when
right.
he's like
It's a very good
watching the
scene.
soccer game. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you all feel so when Tony basically eliminates all the extremist soldiers? Did you all feel a little bit off with that?
Like, because he was killing them?
Yeah, just I don't know.
A little out of character.
It did. It seemed a little bit out of character for me.
I don't know. Pepper was on the line. I think that
True.
all bets were off.
That's a good point.
Otherwise, you
Pepper
just
was
have
captured.
walking human bombs everywhere.
That's true.
And that's it.
Yeah. I don't want to get into it too early. I want to stay with Iron Man 3, but I had the same thought when Captain America was like teep kicking guys off the boat into the ocean at night, and I figured there's
Good point.
Yeah, that was that's an even right.
But yeah, that's
Yeah,
an interesting perspective. But then I realized I don't think these guys have gone with the no kill route like DC has gone. As a
Right.
matter of fact,
Sure.
we start to
Well,
figure
until
out-
that new DC trailer.
right. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a lot of that coming up.
Well, we're so used to like the rules of Christian Bale's, Batman trilogy where he did not want to kill and do stuff. Then you have Superman's Oath, which of course changed in Zack Snyder's Man of Steel when he just killed Zod out of nowhere, which people were so angry about.
I didn't like that. Yeah.
Well, that is just a showcase of Snyder not really caring about
The Snyderverse of.
I guess I should say like time-honored tradition of characters. I was watching an interview in which he actually mocked those fans directly.
Yeah,
saying,
he did.
I want it to be my story. Who cares what you guys think? I don't know. So one of the things I really love about, I guess, Phase 2 leading into Civil War in general. I know Civil War is not part of Phase 2, but Phase 2 leading into Civil War in general is really setting up to actually get a glimpse of how flawed all these heroes are. So I don't know if that's an intentional Tony Stark being a little bit vengeful when he's rescuing Pepper, but I think his panic attacks, I think, the agitation from Avengers 1 that leads him into his decisions in Age of Ultron. I think we're getting ready for, the facade of what the oh my gosh, what is Asgard, like the Asgardian legacy is about to crumble as we get to Thor 3. So that is one thing I really love, is that these characters are so far from perfect, and sets up some pretty cool redemption arcs, which is my one issue with Iron Man 3 as it relates to the whole universe, is I feel like Tony Stark has to overcome these flaws, and then they kind of forget that he's done them in the other movies. So like we'll get to Age of Ultron and he's acting as though he hasn't found the peace that we are led to believe he found in Iron Man 3.
I think Iron Man 3 let him become a little bit more level-headed instead of finding that peace. I think there was still a little inner turmoil there, but it was more just, okay, I can wrap my head around this now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the biggest gripes I think I had about Iron Man 3 was kind of the ending, because, it felt very much final in a way for Tony's story. I'm giving up the suits and giving up being Iron Man forever. And then the next time we see him, he's just kind of Iron Man again, and there's not really much.
Well, so I might issue a correction to that. I don't think that he was blowing up the suits saying he's not going to be Iron Man anymore, because I'm pretty sure he starts that movie off in Mark 42, right? And Pepper makes the comment of, oh, which version is that? And he doesn't want to say that he hasn't been sleeping at all. He's just been developing suits out of this neurotic fear of the future. I think what he's giving up is the fact that Iron Man is his whole life. He's transitioning that to Iron Man is the means to the end, and we see that end in Phase 3, which is his family and his life. So Iron Man becomes what he wants to protect. But yeah, I mean, at the same time, Mike, he does have the Iron Legion in Age of Avengers. So like, did he blow him up, or Age of
there's just your point of view actually makes a lot of sense, and I can definitely see it that way. Maybe it was just the way it was how it translated on screen, just how it was perceived. And I mean, of course, when we saw the movie, we knew he was going to come back in Age of Ultron. We knew how that was going to go. But to me, I mean, Iron Man 3 had also a change of writers and directors, because you had Favreau direct the first two. You had Shane Black write and direct 3, which Shane Black was an interesting choice to do Iron Man 3. I came out completely out of left field. In a way, I felt like Shane Black was almost making Iron Man 3 like his own. Like, it was part of a trilogy, but he was making it kind of like his own movie and created his own ending without really thinking about the future of Tony Stark. But yeah,
interestingly, I think that brings both Iron Man's strengths and weaknesses for me.
Yeah.
Because I do like how different it feels, but yeah, then one of my major criticisms is its discontinuity with the rest.
A little bit. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Okay. I was thinking that Justin Theroux did Iron Man 3 as one of the writers, but that was 2.
That was 2.
Yeah, that was 2.
Was it just Shane Black for 3?
And Drew Pearce, who I have not heard of, but Shane Black
familiar.
is listed as the sole director.
Okay. Interesting.
Hobbs and Shaw,
Well-
Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. That was Drew Pearce.
Well, Rogue Nation was pretty damn good. So, okay. All right.
Yeah. So one thing I feel like Phase 2 as a whole does really well, but I think Iron Man starts it off in this way, is just, again, the creative humor. Like, I loved the impromptu gadgets that he built without the Iron Man suit, with like the hardware store trip. I loved how Happy was. I wasn't annoyed with the kid. I feel like I had heard some people were annoyed with the kid, but I kind of liked that relationship and how they played off one another.
I feel like people being annoyed with the kid is a little unfair. I mean, he is a child. It's
Right.
He's supposed to be a little bit annoying, but it's for the sake of the film, not for us. We're not supposed to enjoy children of that age.
You know, kind of in a way, I think that it works a lot better now with Tony having a kid in Endgame now, us knowing that. And I think that it was a good bridge to him having children and being good with children, because he ended up being really good with that child and he ended up caring about that child. So in a way, it does create that bridge to him eventually having children in Endgame.
Yeah.
Now that I see it that way, watching this movie now, it really works.
Yeah. So everyone liked Iron Man 3 in this group then, generally speaking?
I think the only complaint you'll get from me is the Mandarin reveal. Yeah. It was so, it just felt short-lived.
So now, do you feel like that broke your expectations because of your perception of Mandarin from other resources, or did you not have any awareness of that and you just didn't like it?
I didn't have any awareness of that.
Okay.
So it was more of just they were building him up so much in the movie just by itself. And then when we finally got there, I was like, okay, while the gag was funny, he was just a gag.
Yeah.
Considering how serious he was played throughout the whole movie. Plus, even the trailers, he was looked like this badass, villain that was going to be a true test to Stark. And
See, I like
it ended up being none of the above.
Yep. I did like the idea of him. I liked the idea of him being a puppet. That was surprising to me. But I see what you're saying, Jeremy, that maybe he was a bit too flimsy.
Over the top.
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I have to agree with Jeremy. That's my only gripe, really, was just the whole Mandarin reveal. To me, it just kind of felt odd and out of place. It didn't feel like it really belonged in this movie. It just, but as a whole, the movie got a lot worse reception than what it deserved, because it was still a good movie as a whole.
Yeah, you said you liked the Mandarin, Dan?
I did.
The reveal.
Yeah. Well, so what was so cool to me is that whole, mysterious, dark, evil, even him walking on set. But then once you reveal it, he became, just funny. And it also prevented there from being this split villainy too. So the fact that it was Killian all the way, I just liked him as a villain, because I feel as though he was introduced and became more and more menacing throughout the movie until you figure out he can breathe fire. I just really liked the development of him. And so the fact that Mandarin was not a joke, but a prop, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. Yeah. I didn't have any expectations because I'm not versed in the Iron Man comics. And I was really into the aspect of the story arc that covered, Pepper Potts' relationship and getting into the suit. I loved the boat scene. And it felt so much, it almost had like this Transformers feel to it, how each of the suits had a different style, and he's jumping in and out of suits.
I
just
loved
feel
the
like
suits.
yeah, they were able to use the suits so creatively because there were so many of them. They were falling apart. They each had different battle styles. He was jumping out of them and into others. And then Pepper Potts was in the suit. Because before they had him use just the hands or something like that. Yeah, I loved the play that they did with the existing concepts too.
So I guess we're pretty much all in agreement that the movie definitely was given a lot worse reception than it probably deserved.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the next one.
Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Is it Soldier or is it Thor? Which one came first?
Thor.
It's Thor.
It's Thor. It's Thor.
Oh, it
Okay.
is Thor. Hold
Okay.
on, Bucky.
Thor: The Dark World. Okay, here we go. This is the one I've been looking forward to talking about. Yeah, I don't want to start this off. I do not want to start this off.
I enjoyed it much more after having seen Infinity War and coming to understand that I didn't, for whatever reason, I didn't understand that it was an Infinity Stone when I first watched it. Did you all catch that the first time you watched it?
I had a feeling. I didn't know.
Yeah,
for sure,
I that completely went over my head, and that was maybe on me. But
the exposition
after.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the exposition from Odin was, if you had an inkling of it, was very telling. The fact that he compared it to all the other constants that pre-existed the dawn of the universe, which that's why I really loved the book, the way that book looked as he's telling the story. But yeah, I felt like it was pretty clear to me. But by the time I was watching Phase 2, I actually wasn't keeping up with the movies until much later. I got through all of them to catch up by the time, I think it had to be Civil War was the first one I started watching all in theaters.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, I would just say generally, I think given that lens of its connectedness to the broader lore of the Marvel Universe, I just enjoyed it a lot more the second time I watched it. I didn't dislike it the first time I watched it. I actually really enjoyed the elves, the Dark Elves. I thought they were pretty cool, if not a little bit out of nowhere. But but I enjoyed the movie. Yeah, I enjoyed the movie. I actually enjoyed earlier Thor rather than later Thor. I enjoyed Thor being a more serious character. And he, you know, and I get why he changed. I think that Thor increasingly became emblematic of the humorous side of Marvel, as you know, Paramount being Fat Thor, but I really liked Thor. I really enjoyed Thor in 1 and 2. I think who he was, given how old he was and what he had been through, made a little bit more sense to me than this rapid transformation in his character that we saw from 2 to 3 and 3 to Infinity War and Endgame. But
you know what's funny, Al? I agree with you. I love Thor. I love the humor in Thor, but I do think Thor's character suffered for the sake of that humor. He is so mature in Thor 2, the way that he handles, I mean, assuming a lot of the stuff he did off screen, where he brought peace back to the Nine Realms despite the Bifrost being destroyed, and he did it in such a way that he earned respect, and who knows if that's Loki just puffing him up a little bit. But still, I felt like he was mature, he was solemn, he wasn't as quick to anger or as proud. And I think that was really important for him to be in that place after having passed the trial of Thor 1 in a sense. My theory, and I'll have to see what you guys think of this, is that Hemsworth as an actor couldn't carry the mantle of Thor that the character deserved, and so they took it the humor route. But that's just my suspicion, is because I think all of the main heroes in the Avengers are very capable of being dynamic, and I think maybe Hemsworth is not as capable, and so his character kind of got painted into the either being stoic and tough or funny or some combination of the two.
Like his range is somewhat limited.
Yeah, well, and I think the best place to see that is in Endgame, where each of the characters, I mean, it was a long movie, each of the main build actors got a chance to showcase their skills and show you the pain that they were suffering through. And the fact that Thor was in a fat suit didn't mean that he had to be less believable, but even so, his pain was less believable to me. The way he talked about, like, what, don't say that name, and I just didn't buy his pain as readily as I bought everyone else's pain. And so I don't know, I think Thor 2 was the path toward realizing Hemsworth's limits and then painting the character appropriately. Or maybe they just
backing off. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think that we can't blame the actors for the character choices that were made. We could also blame the writers to where they chose to have Thor go. Maybe they made that same conclusion and didn't think he could pull off Thor as we really want him to be. So they went a comedy geeky route to make one of the strongest Avengers in the history of the MCU turn into fat frat boy after Infinity War.
I almost wonder too if it was to kind of ensure that he would take it back. You know how in Heroes, Hero is kind of a clown.
Sure.
Yeah.
But he's obviously probably if not the most, one of the most powerful heroes with his power. And if he was a serious character, there's no way he could have taken a back seat.
Yeah. Sure.
So I wonder if maybe
probably prohibit any kind of plot mechanic for conflict.
Through that.
If you can stop time, right? Yeah. But I mean, Thor is obviously in a lot of he's very powerful, even compared to most of the Avengers, and so I wonder if maybe that was their way of handling that.
So, which of you is it?
Huh?
Which of you would speak poorly of this movie?
Okay, No. Okay, here's my deal with Thor. I am a bad example for my family when it comes to the MCU because I took Cassie, my wife, to see Thor Ragnarok before she had even seen Thor The Dark World because I had forgot it existed. I forgot the movie existed. And I think it was just because I didn't go watch it a second time. I felt like it was...
Jeremy, you are forgiven.
It was honestly, Thor The Dark World was too much for me the first time watching it through, to where there was a lot of information coming at you, and I couldn't take it all in. But watching it a second time, things have gotten better, and I know that we were thinking that it was going to be a lengthy discussion of Thor The Dark World, whether it's great or not, but I don't have too many problems with it.
That's good. It sounds like he maybe some time ago it would have been a whole different discussion, but
Well, so lay it on us, Mike.
Oh, actually, I'm positive on it. I always loved the Thor movies. So Thor 2 to me, I liked because I liked the fact that Jane and Thor's relationship matured from the first movie. Because in the first movie, the relationship was a good start, but it was felt like a very juvenile relationship in a way, and it matures a lot. And because like you said, Dan, Thor matures a lot. So the relationship instantly already matures because she's in the first movie, she's in a completely different place than him. So, and that's really heavily evident in the first film quite a bit. It isn't really maybe like the last scene of the first movie where I think Thor really feels his love for her when he can't get back to her. But I liked the elves. I thought that was a very big, dark turn for Thor. And I'm a huge fan of Ragnarok. But in a way, I watched Ragnarok and I kind of almost wish we would have continued down that darker route for Thor, because I feel like that we were going that route. That's the route they wanted to go down. And then all of a sudden they completely did, a flip, and they thought, you know what? Humor might be better for this. Why don't we just go the complete opposite direction? And it works. It works. But I would have liked to have seen maybe the direction they were thinking they were going to go in before Dark World was released.
That's because you're a secret.
Maybe in Love and Thunder.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Love and Thunder. But what's the director's name again?
I can't get over it. I hope they change the title. It just sounds so cheesy with that title. Love and Thunder?
Yeah.
I'll be the first one to come in defense of Thor 2 because I just loved the movie. I love Christopher Eccleston. I love the jokes that they make that aren't slapsticky. That's what I like about Thor 2 is how well it balances. Like, Darcy is a great comedic character, and I think she takes the pressure off Jane from having to be funny at all. And Eric Selvig, I think, like when they're determined that they need to go save the world, and he's like, I better get my pants, or like, I don't know. I just felt like they did really quick humor really well, despite the fact that it was kind of really, I mean, we don't see villains that are this set on not just ending the world or following the trope of killing people, but like, there's something about wanting to plunge the world back into eternal darkness that just doesn't have any redeeming quality to it at all. Even Thanos is trying to do it for some end that a reasonable person could see. Okay, I guess I see what you're saying, but you're sacrificing things that good people don't sacrifice. But the Dark Elves are just, humans are a mistake, and we want eternal darkness again. And I really loved just how well they play Loki. I remember the first time I watched it, I totally bought it hook, line, and sinker that Loki had betrayed Thor. And I guess in a way he did. But even from the first moment in the film when he's talking to his father, because his father's explaining why he's going to be in prison. And he's like, as much as I love our little chats, I don't love them. And so right away, Loki's first interaction expresses this deceptive dualist nature that he has. They just know their characters well. They played the movie out well. And I liked a different looking villain. I liked that the color scheme slanted dark and red. That was kind of uncommon.
Sure.
See,
I loved Loki throughout the entire film.
Agreed.
I felt nothing wrong with Loki's character.
Yeah.
See, if there's two things about this movie that still kind of pisses me off to this day, is number one, the whole thing with Thor and Lady Sif. It angers me because sometimes I almost feel like instead of him and Jane, that's really his appropriate person to be with. They're both kind of the same kind of person. They're warriors. They're both Asgardian.
They both lived for hundreds of years.
Exactly. It all makes sense. It all ties together. And
so,
the thing of it is, she disappears in Ragnarok, and that leads me to the ending. The ending, with Loki ultimately end up being their father at the end. It's a very dark ending. And I don't like that it was perceived as a joke in Ragnarok. I was hoping for something a little bit more serious with that to build off of. And that probably was the intention. But that kind of still angers me that was played off more of humor than being serious.
Yeah, I really like the tone of Ragnarok, but I think you're right that they mishandled that specific issue. What's interesting to me is I feel like Lady Sif doesn't get what she deserves for the sake of Jane Foster. And then I know that, like, outside the movie, political issues prevented her from continuing on because she said she didn't want to just keep replaying this damsel in distress role.
Right.
And so I feel like they made a choice in Thor 2 to move toward Jane Foster, and then she just got explained away in a single line of, "Oh, we broke up. It was mutual." And that was annoying to me because I felt like he was putting so much on the line for her. Like Lady Sif was like, there's 9 realms. The King of Asgard needs to worry about more than just one of them. And he's maturely like thanks her and disagrees, but then they just break up. I don't know that. I always like the relationships and the fact that they were together. And I mean, doesn't Thor 2 end with a slow motion run and hug? So like,
Yeah.
I just figured it would be a bigger part. So the fact that she was taken out was a big bummer for me. And yeah, I think there was a gap there that, but I heard Lady Sif is going to be back too.
I'm glad. That's one thing I'm happy about Love and Thunder is because, Natalie Portman's coming back and then, Sif's coming back too. So, yeah, Alistair just loves that title. If they keep that title,
I can't. It just sounds like a bad pay-per-view.
Love and Thunder.
See, I feel like they're going to keep with that. Some people find unbearingly annoying theme of 80s. I loved Ragnarok. I loved the music. I loved the graphics. As a matter of fact, when we get to Guardians, I'm going to talk about how Guardians affected the color palette of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe in such a positive way.
Yep. Just the trailer for Ragnarok had Guardians written all over.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
So.
See, when it comes to Love and Thunder, when we ever get to that, that's going to be Alistair's "It's Sticky" moment. It's just the title itself.
Just the title.
Just the title. The title is enough.
I can just see him starting the podcast going, "Hey guys, we're going to start Love and Thunder." I can just see Alistair, you should get all Shakespearean on us.
I'll make a song. I'll make a song out of it by the time we get to our next podcast.
Love and Thunder.
So this is a good moment. I have an idea for the podcast once we get caught up to the movies. I think it would be fun to watch them in concert and talk about them as we watch them so that a viewer could listen to the podcast while they watch the movie and kind of like that. What's that called? Mystery Science Theater?
Yeah, Mystery Science Theater.
My coworker was like, "You all should watch it and talk about it as you watch so that we could sync it up with the movie." But I thought
it's funny. It's funny you say that too, because I was just thinking about that new Batman trailer that came out a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
I was thinking, how cool would it have been to put it in the middle of our window and just all watch it at the same time and just talk about it while it's playing.
Yeah.
It's a good idea. And just putting a Marvel movie on and just talk about it like as a visual audio commentary.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I found myself, I've watched these movies a lot, and I think Phase 2 is probably the phase I've watched more than the others. Maybe Phase 1 and 2 equal amounts, but I just found myself clinging to particular lines that made me think, "Oh man, that's a cool line," or "Oh, I like how this relates." That'd be fun to watch it live.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if I had problems with Thor 2 apart from the drastic turn the story arc had to make, which I'm not even upset about. I loved Thor 3. I really do like that it became mostly humor because I think we needed that buffer as we went into Endgame and Infinity.
And just start with death.
Yeah.
Literally.
Start with all of Asgard slaughtered.
Yeah, right?
I will say they were pretty gutsy to destroy Asgard and Ragnarok. You wouldn't expect
I was surprised.
how Ragnarok starts. You wouldn't.
I was so surprised because it was just such a triumphant ending. But yeah.
So all in all, I guess we all do end up liking Thor 2 a lot more than we all thought was going to happen.
Oh, I knew I loved it.
Yeah.
We knew Jeremy would come around. Jeremy's a good guy.
I was waiting for Jeremy to destroy it, like drop an atom bomb on it. I was waiting.
No,
I
couldn't.
I saw a meme that was, you remember that template where it listed ranked movies, but instead of ranking the movies, it talked about how ranking was an arbitrary process and they weren't. So it was like the movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe rated from best to worst. And then it's like 1, rating movies, 2, in this fashion is 3, not really a productive 4, 5, 6, blah, blah, blah. And then the last one was Thor 2 Dark World. And so it was like this, yeah, but we all understand that this one's the worst. And I don't know.
That's awesome.
It's
I've never
different.
seen that.
I think that's part of it, is it's very different. But I don't think that's a bad thing for them to have diversity like that.
Yeah.
Why is the Incredible Hulk not at the bottom of that list?
Well, maybe that wasn't even considered. I don't know.
They don't even want to put it on the list.
Not even worth admitting it into the conversation.
Barely canon.
Yeah.
No, actually,
well, it's funny you say barely canon. I have a comment when we get to Age of Ultron on that one.
Okay.
Oh no.
I was reminded of the continuity with General Ross when I watched it again recently with Aaron.
Right.
And that I think he pulls it together. Yeah.
Gets his head on his shoulders.
Yeah, I after kind of hearing our commentary on Liv Tyler, I did watch it with new eyes. Definitely.
Oh, good old Liv Tyler, man. We've had a lot of discussions about her already, just in a few podcasts. Whew.
Yeah.
She's been a topic of discussion.
Did we talk about Leftovers already?
Briefly.
Leftovers.
I think
What's
we did
Leftovers?
briefly.
It's an HBO show based on a novel written by Tom Perrotta, and one of the writers is Damon Lindelof. So it kind of feels like Lost, but it's only 3 seasons. So it's very much a story that had its end decided before it even began. And Liv Tyler plays a pretty prominent role in that. And it's just, her character is not like I've ever seen her before. It's interesting to watch.
Interesting.
So it's Lost without the ending of Lost.
You know, I compare it, the way I say it is it's like a modern analog for Lost. It has a lot of the feeling of Lost. The theme that the Lost writers really liked, with these like profound moments with animals that communicated mostly symbolic things, happens again, where like he's just standing there looking at a deer and or a buck, and he asks it a question and it doesn't respond, and so you're always making these conjecture because you know that the writers are willing to take it to goofy places, but then I almost said it's better than Lost. The one thing it doesn't do is it doesn't cop out on the ending. It gives you something.
Well, that's good news, because
Yeah.
Lost didn't give me what I wanted.
Yeah, I took me a while to come to terms with how Lost ended.
Yeah.
They'll release the unreleased conclusion in a decade or so.
Well, so there
reboot.
was an epilogue or prologue. I forget whichever one comes after. Must be prologue. That apparently wrapped some things up with Hurley and Ben, and kind of put a closing on the story and lore of the island more so than the series finale did. So
Interesting.
Huh. That's cool.
that's our Lost tangent. I think I tangent into Lost at least once every other podcast.
A little bit.
Oh, I'd say probably at least twice.
So, Winter Soldier. The Winter Soldier.
Bucky.
You like Bucky?
He's kind of blah for me.
Really?
His character, yeah. I'd like to see his character experience a little bit more development in future movies.
I agree with that.
A Disney Plus series, I think, is going to give us
I
that.
like him. They just don't give him much dialogue, and so I don't really feel like I know Bucky the way I know most of the characters.
Besides the action sequences, he isn't really given much to do, even leading up to Infinity War, because after him getting in entanglement with, in Civil War, he goes off to live in Wakanda for however long.
Yeah.
And we're not seeing much, development there besides just living amongst Wakandans.
Yeah.
And getting desensitized or deprogrammed from whatever he had to deal with.
I just feel like by the end of Winter Soldier, I should feel the same way Captain feels in Civil War about Bucky, and I just don't get there.
Can't.
I
They shared
can't.
childhood together.
That's right.
Let the Avengers have one introverted character.
Oh,
Yeah, I think the problem that you're having, Al, is the fact that Bucky is still dealing with all this inner turmoil, and he doesn't know how to process it after being frozen and awakened and frozen and awakened after how many years, whereas Captain America was frozen for that one bit and then came back as himself, remembering everything.
Yeah, he wasn't brainwashed. Yeah.
I think Bucky's mind more so is just mush.
Damaged.
And I think we'll see a lot more of Bucky when it comes to the show. When it
I
comes
can
out.
buy that.
Oh yeah,
I can buy that.
And I'm okay with that because Bucky isn't a major character after.
I think I think I could buy it, and I would if that's what they're aiming for, I would like to see them continue to hit on it. Like show us the mental instability.
See, I don't know that I would say that he's unstable. Given the circumstances, I think he's doing pretty well. I mean, he's self-sacrificial. He's trying his best to atone for the sins that he's committed that he doesn't even know. As he figures them out, he has to face them continuously. I mean, even the fact that he chooses to freeze himself again, I think is a testament to his willingness to self-sacrifice for the safety of others. I just think he's a stoic guy. He's pretty quiet.
And I agree with Dan on that one.
yeah.
But
He is stoic.
I'm just worried. So if we get a show where he gets a ton of screen time and he starts talking a whole lot more, I might like him less.
That's
No,
a
I
very
don't
big
even need him.
possibility.
I don't even need him to become an extrovert. I just even if it's in the context of just little conversations with one character he grabs hold of. You know, I just would like to know more about him. Like obviously it won't be Cap at this point, but maybe it'll become Falcon. Who knows?
I do think that a big premise of of the show is going to be him atoning for a bunch of different sins throughout the last 70 years of history.
Yeah.
To see what big events that he was responsible in causing havoc with and making it worse.
Yeah. I think if you remember, Bucky in Captain America, the first Avenger, was kind of playful and chatty. And I like the way he interacts with Falcon in. Is it Civil War?
Sure.
I guess that must be
Civil War.
Yeah, it is
Civil War.
I really
start to
love
set the stage.
Captain America's
Yeah.
movies. Those probably end up being my favorites.
I just remember when First Avenger came out and I saw it the first time. I didn't know much about the Captain America story at the time. I didn't really read Captain America comics as much as I should have. So when Bucky had died, I thought he was dead. I didn't know Bucky ultimately
I did
became a
too.
Winter Soldier.
I did
So
too.
I remember being very pissed off because they were spending so much time on Bucky, and I was like, now Cap loses a friend. He's gonna lose his girl at the end, which I already knew that was gonna happen.
Give us a little death, Marvel.
Yeah, it's like, come on, So once that I think it was an after credit sequence. I don't know which movie it was when they actually revealed that Bucky was coming back as the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Which movie was that? It was an end credit scene, correct?
Was it 3? Iron Man?
Can't remember.
Was it Iron
No,
Man
so
3?
it was the. I think you're thinking of the text at the end of either. Was it this one or was it Civil War where it says Winter Soldier will return in Avengers Endgame or something like that? Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's when they revealed that Bucky was the Winter Soldier. There was an end credit scene in one of the movies where it teased that he was going to be the Winter Soldier.
Yes, that's when he was like chopping logs, right? You mean like when they said he's ready and he looked at the arm that
That's
they had
it.
gifted him?
That's it.
Yeah.
We looked back. We only saw part of his face, but you knew obviously.
Yeah, when he was out at Wakanda.
And I saw that and I was like, oh shit. I was like, he's back.
Man. So one of the things I really liked about Captain America Winter Soldier is how Captain America didn't change much in terms of his personality. He's been pretty consistent, but his expertise at the job was very highlighted. Like he was kind of clumsy in Captain America 1, you know. He was running, and the first time he ran, he crashes into that store, and he's not perfect, you know. He's kind of fumbling around. And then even in Avengers, they make this very marked distinction between him and the other Avengers. You know, they're like gods and stuff, and he's just kind of quirky old Captain America. But he starts this one, he jumps off the plane without his parachute.
Yep.
He's on the boat, he's handling all of them except for one before they even land. I really loved the way that they just showcased Captain America is a deadly weapon, and he's got nothing to live for but the job. But he still holds that virtue with him. I like that.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see like the way he is kicking people off the boat, the way he's throwing knives through people's hands. He doesn't have any qualms causing severe pain. Yeah. Yeah. And it should be noted that the guy he fights on the ship, the guy named George
Barkov or something.
Barkov, yeah, that's a GSP. That's a UFC fighter.
Oh, really?
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
I want to see if it's listed.
Huh.
I should also note too that a good portion of this movie was shot in Cleveland. That's
Oh, that's right.
Pretty
I
awesome.
forgot about that.
yeah.
They had some tents up. This was back when I was working in University Circle. I remember that they were around. Yeah.
Yeah, that whole fight where they first fight the Winter Soldier when they're on the bridge and everything, you can tell because being from Cleveland, you know all the different buildings, and it was very easy to tell what was Cleveland.
Yeah, I remember really enjoying seeing that highway
That's
north of the city that goes to Lakewood.
Well, the first Avengers was shot partially in Cleveland too, right?
Right. The scene where Loki shows up to that not costume, but that with the suit ball, and he's telling everybody to kneel.
Yeah.
There's that shot looking up where Terminal Tower's behind him.
Yeah.
And if you look down the street when he shoots the cop cars, you can see the Cuyahoga County Community College signs on the
Nice.
telephone poles, which is pretty cool.
See, that's much different from Spider-Man. When they shot Spider-Man, and they did some chase scenes.
Spider-Man
I think it
3.
was 3, with the Sandman and Venom. They did some chase scenes on Euclid Avenue, but you have to pause it, and you can barely tell. Yeah, it was a big letdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing's ever filmed in Minnesota, so we're just
Hey,
Move to Cleveland, Jeremy.
I know a lot of the Mighty Ducks movies were shot in Minnesota.
Were they really?
Yeah, I mean the whole movie takes place usually.
Hey, that's a claim to fame right there.
Yeah.
Where's Fargo filmed?
Not Fargo, apparently.
No. No.
The movie or the show?
Maybe Alaska.
Oh, it was in Minneapolis.
Fargo
St. Paul. Yeah.
Wow.
It was
During the winter of 1995.
There you go.
Yep, that's what we're known for. We're known for the 10,000 Lakes
Fargo.
and Fargo.
Cleveland has a pretty rich filming history.
Deer Hunter was shot a lot in Cleveland.
Yeah, so was A Christmas Story. That house is in Cleveland.
Yep.
Yeah.
Remember that story that our high school band director used to tell, Alistair?
No. What was the story?
He used to say that It's a Wonderful Life, A Christmas Story. He used to say that some staff on the movie reached out to him and asked if the Olmsted Falls Marching Band would march in that movie, but it was they filmed it like not near Christmas at all, and they wanted them to wear Christmas stuff, and he apparently was like, that's weird, we're not doing that.
He didn't do it.
Well, so I always wondered if it was true or not.
Yeah, why would you say no to that? Just because of the costumes.
I heard.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I found another one for Minnesota. Jingle All the Way was filmed at the Mall of America.
I like that movie. I actually like that movie. I try to watch that once every Christmas.
There's a lot going on from Minnesota.
Hey, that movie was also 2 years before Jake Lloyd played Anakin Skywalker.
That's a
So-
funny nestling into your time knowledge.
Yeah, why not? We were just preparing ourselves for the Anakin Skywalker.
Are there any movies that are up and coming in Cleveland, Mike? I feel like you know this stuff.
There was a Bruce Willis movie due to be shot here right before the pandemic.
Huh.
I don't know if that's still going to happen here or not. I don't know because I haven't heard anything on that. As of right now, everything's pretty much held up. So
I didn't realize Bruce Willis was still around.
Probably another,
think he was
probably
dead.
another Die Hard.
I would love the shot Die Hard movie in Cleveland. That'd be freaking awesome.
Uh,
He'll fall off the terminal tower. They'll blow a big hole in the side of the terminal tower. Funny.
Yeah. So, Winter Soldier.
hmm
This one, I think, stands out as a political thriller almost, uniquely from the different
Sure.
movies. And I think
Agreed.
Civil War has that characteristic to it too. But this one definitely was the one that scratched that political drama itch for me. Probably most notably the elevator scene.
Yes.
Badass.
He's
Oh, it
slowly
was so good.
realizing they're turning against him. I thought that was really cool.
And the way that gets replayed in Endgame is just awesome.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. Endgame did that really well. They made me not care that they didn't handle Paradox well at all.
Dan, what was that movie that you recommended for time travel?
Oh, Primer.
Primer.
Yeah, it
Okay.
was the same guy. I think he wrote In Living Color. I want to say Aronofsky. That doesn't sound right.
Oh, Darren Aronofsky?
Primer film.
Yeah, I added that to my watch list. I'm gonna definitely check it out.
It's Shane Carruth. Upstream Color was the other one he did, Shane Carruth. But yeah, it's like an indie time travel movie that I think they only used like 15 grand for the budget or something.
Wow.
But it's probably one of the better time travel movies in terms of its attention to detail.
I'll have to look at that one.
So you're saying Back to the Future was full of shit?
You know what? I've never seen them.
No.
Are you
I know.
serious?
I know.
What?
I know. My brother and I just went through this like a week ago, where he mentioned it somehow, and I was
Man.
like, "Yeah, I've never seen those. I've seen parts of them on TV." I understand that's one of my great deficiencies as a movie.
How do
watcher.
I unfriend someone?
You know what? Just for that, you know what? After the Marvel retrospective, we got to do Back to the Future now because you
Back
got to
to the
watch
Future?
them.
That's
That
fair.
would be
Back to the
fun.
Future.
That would be fun.
Yeah, that's fair.
Love Back to the Future.
Okay, so it's a given. Back to the Future's next.
Nice.
So now Dan's got to watch them. You'll love them. You'll love them.
Yeah.
He's gonna read synopses of the
No,
movies. and
I
You know,
won't.
the
I
Cliff
don't.
Notes.
I mean, I know a little bit. I know the whole trope of like. The one scene I know for sure is the electric guitar thing,
The Chuck Berry scene.
and
yeah.
then
Yeah.
I think there's something about like his mom comes onto him, like
Yeah, that's number one.
Yeah.
something like that. So
Yep.
those are the only two things I know, though.
yeah.
You'll,
Okay.
you'll be in for a treat.
Yeah,
Sequels-
hopefully,
sequels
hopefully
are
there's
excellent.
more
Hopefully.
than that.
Yeah, the mom and Chuck Berry, not exactly a winning combo, I guess.
They are all very, very different.
Yeah.
They're good movies.
I would say the first one didn't age well is probably the best way to put it.
Sure,
But
sure.
other than that,
It gets progressively better. I feel like through the trilogy.
Part
Yeah.
two was always one of my favorites because I love the fact they go to the future and then it affects the past. I won't go into too much.
Yeah.
I've always liked the second one.
Yeah.
So yeah.
all right.
Okay.
Anyway.
So any more Winter Soldier notes?
Well, so I think we'd be remiss if we didn't at least break down the slew of potential future movies they talk about on the roof. With that, so the ships and how they can identify people of interest, how the system
Yes.
can. And I'm pretty sure they talk about Doctor Strange.
Oh, really? I must have missed that.
I missed that too.
Well, so they mention them all vaguely. I should have I should have been prepared with it. But so when Falcon and Natasha are up on the roof, and he's like, "You're not gonna drop me off," and he's like, "No, I'm not." But then Natasha shoves him, and then Falcon picks him up, and that's when he flips on the senator. I feel like I'm almost there. Yeah, here we go. Drops names. When Agent Sitwell is being given a brief rooftop interrogation by Cap, Falcon, and Widow, he reveals Hydra's plan to target and eliminate all men and women who could one day pose a threat to their organization. Among the likes of Tony Stark and Bruce Banner, Sitwell also refers to Stephen Strange. And then he also talks about... Stephen Strange isn't the only character alluded to. He mentions a valedictorian in Iowa City and a man located in Cairo, Egypt. And they figure that the Egypt could be Mark Spector. And then,
so I guess that would mean that Doctor Strange, the movie, then is a prequel to Winter Soldier. Then
Moon Knight.
Moon Knight. Yes,
Moon Knight?
That's the character. Yep.
So would that be right then? Doctor Strange, the whole movie, is a prequel to Winter Soldier then? Because
well,
I'd say it'd have to be.
Well, no. Basically, the system, the Watchtower, is capable of identifying people who could potentially be threats in the future. I think.
Like almost like it predicts the future?
Well, it's kind of that whole idea of...
Is it an algorithm?
Well, yeah. It's like the fatalist perspective of if you have enough information, then you can predict anything that's going to happen given enough information.
Yeah,
Zola he identified Stephen Strange.
Zola was the one who had said it was an algorithm of judging their past would basically predict their future.
Yeah.
It's just interesting that they would pick Strange.
Which leads me to one of my harshest criticisms, which of course you all know is not going to be that bad. But the representation of Zola in Marvel was just a little bit too much the realism route for me. Because he should have been... Let me see if I can just pull up a piece of art for it, give you guys an idea of it.
Okay.
I'll just send you the link, Mike, since you're better at.
Okay.
Oh yeah, yep.
He just was so much. He was so creative looking in the art before the movie. And so I thought, because that's one of the problems I have with DC is I think they took everything a little bit too seriously and didn't allow things like the Lazarus Pit to be mystical or magical in any sense. They all went the Joker route, which the Joker is mysterious in and of himself just because you know so little about him. But
interesting.
Yeah, so see how he was like kind of a goofy looking villain type?
Yeah.
Hey, I want to let you guys know some comments came in through our live feed.
All right.
Here already. Olivia, your sister, Alistair, made a comment. She said, sounds like the most recent season of Westworld predicting human behavior with AI.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. My mom says yes. You guys are doing Back to the Future.
It's settled.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah. So yeah, Kendall Marie Domingo says Bucky with big exclamation points and hearts.
I feel that way about Bucky too.
Bucky deserves a lot more love than Alistair is giving him. So
thank you, viewers.
With Bucky was as Carter Bazin on Gossip Girl. Any of you guys watch Gossip Girl?
Nope.
I've seen a few episodes, sadly.
A guilty pleasure.
You know, the sad thing is, I actually have considered watching that show because I actually.
No, Mike. There's so many other shows.
I'm watching Galactica over again, and I'm
Okay,
enjoying that.
so
By the way,
here's my recommendation for Gossip Girl. It's
Censor this, Mike. Censor this for our viewers' sake, if nothing else.
the character arcs are good. Yes, the show is ultimately like trashy.
oh, it's soapy as hell.
It's so trashy, but the character arcs are pretty good. I feel like they exposed a lot of new music at the time. Like they picked cool songs for the time that the show was made.
Mm-hmm.
And every once in a while you get an episode that's just written really well, particularly the finale. And to get to the finale, you got to get through it all. So
I do know ultimately who ends up being the Gossip Girl because I saw that revealed when the show ended, unfortunately.
but the reveal is still done well, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know they got a spinoff coming out. It's going to be a continuation of the story.
I have zero interest in it.
Yeah, I'm kind of like, isn't that already kind of played? It may just, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just nervous that, the first one was already bad, and I just somehow didn't hate it and ended up liking it a lot.
You couldn't look away.
Not really into it, yeah. So then the last thing I wanted to talk about for Captain America, or two things actually. The first is just something that I wondered. So the woman that is next door to Captain America, who is Agent Carter's niece or great niece or something?
Yep.
Niece, yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the woman's name in the show, but it's the woman that
Sharon Carter.
Sharon Carter, yeah.
Yep.
Does he date her? Does he have a intimate relationship with her?
Thankfully, never too seriously. I always thought that was kind of weird.
Well,
Like,
the whole
how
thing
does he
too.
explain that to Peggy?
I know. That's why I'm glad it didn't become serious, because if it had become much more serious, it would have been really awkward.
Didn't he kiss her in Civil War?
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just a kiss of endearment.
No, I
don't think so. It didn't look like it was some kiss of endearment to her. It sounds like she was
like the
God.
Italians do. Just on the
Who said that about a kiss recently? Oh, yeah, the Star Wars.
Rise of Skywalker. Yeah.
I don't buy that. That's bullcrap. People don't just like kiss as friends. This isn't Italy.
Don't you know? Yeah, Rey's and Kylo's kiss was just endearing. It was just a moment.
I'll believe what I want to believe.
Oh man.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
funny. Oh shit.
Kisses of endearment.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, even
Hello,
Cassie looked
Boots.
at me weird from the other side of the room.
Hey, Rocco.
Rocco decided to join me.
Rocco.
Do you have any thoughts, Rocco?
Yeah, I'm enjoying this little scratch rub I'm getting here.
So then the last thing, and this is just a tidbit that I thought was cool. I probably should have pulled it up so I could talk about specifics. But when Anthony Mackie recommends that jazz album to Captain America and he writes it on his quote unquote list, that list was different based on the region.
The region.
There was an Asian list, a UK list, and an American list. And
Oh,
they
really?
all had different like pop culture moments and things. Well, I'll just pull it up. Captain
I remember seeing that.
That's
That was-
awesome.
America's list in Winter Soldier. And so like he said Star Wars and it was like, yeah, okay, here you go. So in America, we all saw that list, obviously. I Love Lucy, The Moon Landing, Berlin Wall, Steve Jobs, Disco, Thai Food, Star Wars / Trek, Nirvana, Rocky, and Trouble Man soundtrack. In the UK, they saw, what's that first one? It's cut off. TV show Sherlock, maybe? Moon Landing, The Beatles, World Cup Final 1966, Sean Connery, Thai Food, the one true thing, Star Wars / Trek, but Star Wars isn't crossed out, Nirvana, Rocky 2, and Trouble Man soundtrack. So I thought, I guess they didn't have an Asian region list too.
That's cool, though.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny. They changed out I Love Lucy for Sherlock.
I think they had one for Australia too.
Yeah, this Business Insider article only has 2, but I swear I've seen pictures of like 3 of them.
Steve Irwin, Skippy the Bush Kangaroo, Tim Tams.
Oh yeah, yeah. So that was UK, Ireland. They had a Southern Korea one that was Jisung Old Boy.
What?
Yeah. So here's all the regions: United States and Canada shared one. The UK and Ireland. South Korea had a list. Spain had a list. Latin America, Italy, Australia, and New Zealand. Russia, France, Brazil, Germany.
Oh, gosh,
That's a funny Easter egg. I never
Like,
realized.
really good.
like Germany has currywurst on it and Oktoberfest. Brazil had Mamonas Assassinas.
Now, how did you find this out, Dan? Were you watching like the Spanish version, or?
No, I don't remember when I found that Easter egg. It probably was a
cool.
work conversation at my last job because we would talk movies a lot.
That's cool.
it's a good Easter egg.
That is a good Easter egg.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Russia has the Soviet Union dissolution in 91. That would be pretty relevant for
Yeah,
someone who fought against the axis of evil.
All right. Well, moving on to Marvel's Star Wars.
Wait, what?
Oh, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Ah,
Nope.
Yeah. Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
In other words, my possibly least
Don't
favorite.
don't
Really?
say it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I think that Guardians is a great example of how music can really influence the overall experience, because I
Yeah.
loved Guardians,
I do
and
too.
I do wonder if I would say the same if the soundtrack was different than it is, if it was just kind of like a generic soundtrack instead of
Yeah.
using all these different oldies
I-
songs.
I
just-
think
yeah.
I think you're right. The
I
music
loved his
and-
entrance.
yeah.
Yeah.
The music plus the color palette plus Chris Pratt's personality, and then yeah, maybe that was all I had in mind. But I feel like a lot of things came together to make that great. The only reason I say it's my least favorite is because Guardians Volume 2 is pretty much the same movie, with like the arc and the flow just better, in my opinion. There's some things I like better about the first,
sure.
but ultimately,
What'd y'all think of Ronan? I didn't really enjoy him too much. Am I saying his name correctly?
I
Yeah.
think so.
Ronan. Yeah,
I
Yeah.
see.
He just seemed kind of like a two-dimensional villain to me.
Generic. Very generic.
yeah. He,
Sure.
I think he was just someone for them to fight. There was no.
Um,
I think the most of the movie was more likely the banter between all of them, because they never seem to actually all get along at one point.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what the main focus is on, is the team and not the bad guy.
Sure.
So
I think one of my favorite lines in sorry, go ahead.
No, you.
I was gonna say one of my favorite lines in all of Marvel is when they all are finally standing up in agreement, and it's when he says, "Now look at us, we're just a bunch of idiots standing in a circle."
Yeah.
That is pretty good.
I love that line. Every time I hear it, I just bust up.
Guardians definitely has the most complete cast on its own.
Yeah.
I think Thor comes close with like Lady Sif and the Warriors 3, and then they have like Jane and her intern and Dr. Selvig, but I think Guardians definitely has the most unique and multi-personality cast,
Yep.
and that really helps it stand alone, which it does.
Sure.
You know, watching Guardians again too, it is so evident now that Ragnarok was so inspired by Guardians.
Yeah.
I mean, everything that, like you said before, the color palette, just the kind of the humor, the techno music used in Ragnarok is very Guardians-ish. It's Thor basically is Guardians 3 in a way. Ragnarok. It in a lot of ways it is.
Yeah. Well, and it seems to me like as Guardians of the Galaxy, now titled Love and Thunder. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I would have loved to see it called Asgard.
I think it's basically like Galaxy and Thor 4, you know?
Yeah. Well, I don't like that James Gunn said that. He said, yeah, it's not going to be called as Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm like, why? That's perfect.
It should
That's
have
a
been.
perfect title. It's right in front of you. And you're going to say,
I wonder if
Volume
they'd
3?
have to pay extra royalties. I don't really know how all that stuff shakes out, but if they named it right after the comics, I wonder.
Well, I think Love and Thunder for Thor. I think Love and Thunder is a name of one of the comic books.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I believe it is. I think that's why they titled it that. I usually say I hope so, because if they just named it that just on a pure idea, I got to agree with Alistair. That's absurd. It better be a comic title.
Okay, guys, we've all put our votes into a hat. Time to draw.
Love and Thunder, Love and Thunder, Love and Thunder, something else.
So I liked Ronin. I want to go back to Ronin because I liked Ronin, and I'm intrigued. I'm always intrigued at the religious zealot as villain motif.
Sure.
I think
like
that's
Frollo.
It's just who's Frollo?
Judge Lord Frollo from Quasimodo. Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Javert.
And I think it's really cool just to see his, zealous monkhood, whatever he is, juxtaposed against the goofiness of that crew. Like, he's one of the only villains that when they start a dance off, it would be so beneath him that he's like, what are you doing? Yeah.
He is, I think the reason that some of us feel that Ronin doesn't work is because he's not a villain that's really taken seriously.
Right.
In the biggest part of it. Because, I mean, the Guardians viewed him as a threat, but they handle it in the most unorthodox ways.
Yeah. But doesn't that say more about the Guardians than it does about Ronin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I feel like even more so, the Guardians take him out of the spotlight as the villain.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and then even more so in the context of the whole universe, Ronin is just some loser henchman of Thanos. So that because I feel like he felt really powerful the first time I watched Guardians. I was like, wow, this guy's a powerful enemy. It may have been the first time that somebody was so brazenly using a stone for their own aims. Like when Loki used it in his staff, we didn't necessarily know what it was. The Tesseract seemed to be unwieldy and challenging to control. The Ether kind of had a mind of its own, but then here we get the Power Stone, and Ronin puts it in his mallet and uses it as a warhammer. I thought that was pretty cool. And the fact that he took that and embraced it made me feel like he was a pretty powerful guy, but then he just gets dwarfed by Thanos. I thought that was well done for me.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things that Marvel's always done is that a lot of people seem to have agreed that villains have kind of been their weakest trait. Because if you look at all the villains in all the movies, I mean, of course, Thanos is the ultimate bad guy.
So you think villains are their weakest trait even still?
Yes and no. I think some movies definitely do them better than others. I think some of the movies definitely have some pretty fairly weak villains. But see, the movie around it makes up for that, though, because in a lot of movies, the villains, if a bad villain could ruin a movie. I don't think any
Justice League.
Good case in point. Yeah, exactly. I don't think the villains ruin any of these movies, though. I don't think it brings any one of them down, even for some of the movies that are weaker than others.
Yeah.
And that's kind of impressive. That's just good writing on Marvel's part, because the heroes being written outdoes the weakness of how the villain's written. It outdoes it completely.
So it's interesting because I think Age of Ultron, so the Winter Soldier, the villain is much more an organization than a villain. I think that's written wonderfully.
Yes.
Yeah.
Age of Ultron is probably the first singular person villain that I find very compelling. I just
Oh,
love
gosh.
James Spader.
You and me
Um,
both.
Ultron
Yeah.
was great.
And so maybe Ant-Man doesn't, I know Ant-Man's villain doesn't even reach that. Like
No.
corporate greed is
No.
not a compelling villain.
Not at all.
But I think Civil War is amazing because it's the group kind of against themselves. It's the villain is really a wrong understanding of what they are and just a misinformed ideology. But from Spider-Man Homecoming on, I think the villains are phenomenal, are fantastic.
Now, what followed Homecoming? What were the
Yes.
villains following Homecoming?
So-
it was
Hella.
Hella.
Well, so I think Homecoming is good to mention too, because that was the first time where I was like, yeah, this guy is doing bad stuff, but I kind of get it. Like
and it's Michael Keaton. I mean, you
yeah,
can't go wrong.
he did a great job, and he was a villain you could sympathize with. Obviously, it was good he's brought to justice, but you're like, man, that's not the worst villain. But then it was Hela in Ragnarok.
Good.
It was Jordan
then
B. Cooper. It was Warmonger in or no, not Warmonger. What was his name?
Killmonger.
Killmonger, yeah. And then Infinity War was Thanos, which was amazing.
Amazing.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, that's right. It was
the Ghost or something like that.
yeah, but who was the older guy?
Was it Lawrence
Crap,
Fishburne?
it's been a while since I've watched the
It
Wasp.
was.
Darren
Yeah.
Darren Cross.
It was Larry Fishburne.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And then yeah, so I guess that section of villains probably before Ant-Man and the Wasp, but I think Thanos,
Yeah.
I think Hela, I think Jordan B. Cooper. I just loved a lot of the Phase 3 villains a lot.
Yeah. Because if you look at the big picture too, like we agreed, Iron Man 3. I mean, you liked him, Dan, but that to me, you know, with the cop out of how that went,
Yeah.
that was a little bothersome to me.
Mhm.
I mean, Jeff Bridges is great in Iron Man 1, but I mean, is he a great villain?
No.
No.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing with the evolving villains when it comes to these movies. If you're looking at Iron Man, like post Infinity War versus Obadiah Stane in Iron Man 1, there'd be no contest.
No.
Iron Man would have kicked his sorry ass right out the window.
True.
You're looking, you got to base them on where they were. You can't base them on where they are currently. It's an unfair contest because they need to work their way up to these big time villains. They can't just. That's
true. I just think Obadiah as a whole is just not a strong villain. Again, it goes back to being a corporate villain. He's very much a corporate villain. It's more about him taking over Stark Industries than it is about anything else. He's power hungry. Very much like you said in Ant-Man. It's kind of the same kind of philosophy. But Jeff Bridges being as good as he is, it takes away from the fact that Obadiah is just okay because he's Jeff Bridges.
Yeah.
But like Guardians, you liked Ronan, Dan. Ronan's okay.
I don't think he's deep. He's not deep by any means.
He's a very two-dimensional character.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And then Red Skull and Cap.
Think about the cast of not villains, but just ambiguous, like Nebula, even Zandu. Is that his name?
Yondu.
Yondu.
I was like, that's
Zandu. You're trying to get Xandar and
Strange.
Yondu.
yeah. But just all that cast of people who are even Gamora, you're like, are these good guys? Are these? They just really start to allow complexity in the characters that takes them away from that he is evil, he is good.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe that started with Civil War.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Agreed. Let's see. Any other notes of relevance to Guardians? No?
Guardians is a great film.
Yeah.
I love Guardians, so yeah, I don't have much bad to say about it.
It's the only thing is it's very insular. It's Guardians and Guardians 2 before you even really see them start coming together.
Mm-hmm.
Like Civil War. I mean, Civil War included both Black Panther and Spider-Man before their solo movies came out.
True.
And not a single Guardians character.
Civil War broke me. Civil War broke me to the core.
Yeah, that I remember seeing that one in theaters. That was good.
It was just awesome
Heck,
to see Cap
I
and
didn't
Iron Man
even-
go at it.
I didn't even have to see the movie yet. I was broken from the trailer. I was like, no, no.
That moment at the end when Cap and Iron Man are fighting, and
Yeah.
that moment, that's a powerful
friend.
powerful scene.
Mm.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree.
Hmm.
Okay, well that leads us to Avengers Age of Ultron.
Hmm.
So
Or
this
shall I say-
features one of my favorite friendships between Natasha and Hawkeye.
Yes.
I had my bachelor party this past weekend. We got talking about it, and it seems
For
like
quite some time.
seems like nobody in the room agreed with me that Natasha and Hawkeye had a compelling relationship. But I think the history of he was supposed to kill her and he didn't, and
Mhm.
then they just kind of worked this forgiveness and redemption with one another, constantly supporting one another. You'll notice in Age of Ultron, when Natasha is talking to Hulk, she has a little arrow necklace on, and I can't help but think that's a hat tip to her friendship with Clint. I just love their relationship. I love where it gets taken, and I love how they break my heart with it.
I feel it's too bad we'll never see a Budapest film.
Yeah, right. Hey, who knows?
Maybe we will.
Never
Yeah, who
know.
knows?
We'll see.
Um,
I love James Spader as Ultron.
I do too.
I can never get past James Spader.
It doesn't hurt that I've been going through Blacklist, and
You
so
and me both.
so I'm in like season 3 right now. James Spader was just a perfect matching for that.
Mhm.
I could see Ultron looking like his character in Blacklist. If he were human, I could just see him
Yeah.
looking like that. Because the way James Spader commands presence when he comes into the room
Yeah.
is what Ultron does.
Mm.
That just projects. It's just his voice in the movie, but yet when Ultron is in the room, you feel like James Spader is in the room with you.
Yeah. Yeah, one of my cinephile friends recently said that is the shame, is that it wasn't James Spader. It was a CG rendering of Ultron.
Yeah.
And so one of his skills, my friend John says, chewing the scenery. And you don't really get to see that because he's CG, but I still think the voice does it really well. The moment he wakes up, I just love his character.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I love that even though he is an AI, he's kind of still discovering what he is supposed to do. He has some quirks to him. He's not completely perfect. Like when he like chops off that guy's arm when he's being compared to Tony Stark, it's don't compare me to Tony Stark. Like he has a very big problem with that.
You really captured Spader's inflection right there, Jeremy.
I will. Okay, so I'm gonna put in another plug here because I'm me. I was last week put on a Dungeons and Dragons podcast for a one shot, and I had a perfect voice. I wanted to use James Spader's voice, but I could not for the life of me nail that inflection to nail his commanding presence. And I want to. It is something I'm going to strive for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Because his voice is so great.
Yeah.
What you're saying about him being so flawed, I really, this time around, because the first time I watched Avengers 2 Age of Ultron, it was not my favorite. The second time it got better. Each successive watch through, I think it's gotten better and better. This time I really noticed the human elements of Ultron, and how some of the characters were even comparing him to Stark, like Scarlet Witch was like, he wants to destroy the world to save it. Where do you think he got that idea from? But yeah, the way he's yelling, the way he's a little bit pride and has this grandeur scheme to him.
Mhm.
I mean, he is
Yeah.
just an angry side to him, to where it
Mhm.
just doesn't, like, you understand where he's coming from because he has that protocol written in, but the outbursts that he has, like even when Captain America's just jumping on the truck, he just says, "Leave me alone!" Like, it's a sense of urgency that he's just like, "This is a pest. I want you gone."
Yeah.
Hmm.
This movie is very underrated and very underappreciated.
Mm.
I
100%.
I think that the movie was living in the Avengers shadow because the Avengers was something so new and never been done before. So now it's the sequel to that, and we all know a lot of times sequels never live up to what we want them to be. And then then you got Infinity War and Endgame. So yet again, Age of Ultron is in the shadow of those three movies, and this gets pushed away like the ugly stepsister. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? It's just like, and it shouldn't, because like you said, James Spader's villain role is just so good.
Yeah, it's definitely an Avengers level incident.
Yeah, because the thing of it is, if people would say, "Oh, he doesn't compare to Thanos," that's not even fair. It's not even a
on
fair
Earth.
comparison because they are two totally different villains. They
Sure.
are on a completely different level from each other. But why can't we look at them as being what their motivation was?
I think if Ultron succeeded, he would have kicked Thanos' ass.
Yeah.
I think he. I mean, it's certainly
don't
plausible
know.
that he. I think he would have at the very least drastically altered the fate of Earth.
Well,
if
so
he had
let's not
succeeded.
forget that the body that Ultron was building for himself was Vision.
Mhm.
And so you had a level-headed, more noble version of Ultron, potentially just as strong as Ultron could have been, maybe minus the vibranium. I don't know. I feel like they did a really good job of making sure we knew that Thanos' starting place in Infinity War was pretty much unstoppable. I mean, he beat the Hulk hand to hand.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was
with
and
ease.
Well,
that was without Infinity Stones.
and that was without Veronica too. So like
Mhm.
Iron Man couldn't even do it without leveling a city and a building. I think Thanos deserves his due. He's quite the foe.
Oh yeah, no question about it. Thanos is pretty much the ultimate Marvel villain.
Mhm.
in
Yeah.
Have
the-
they
in
talked
that
about Galacticus at all, Mike?
Galactus?
Galacticus.
We
That's
have not in the show, and I don't think they have in the. That's one of the Thanos killers, right?
Yeah, isn't that a Fantastic Four villain?
It is. He's a Fantastic Four villain, and
Yeah,
he's also galactic level like Thanos is.
Silver
So
Surfer is the precursor to Galacticus.
Mhm.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what their relationship is. They might not have. Are they interconnected in the Marvel universe? I feel like they
Well,
might be.
Galacticus is one of the Thanos killers. So throughout Marvel comics, there's a number of people who are able to defeat and kill Thanos, and he's one of them.
Hmm.
Interesting.
And another one of them, oddly enough, is Dave Bautista's character.
Drax.
Drax,
Yeah.
yeah. Drax was a Thanos killer in the comics, but they kind of
Really?
took Drax the funny route. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
I mean, there's only so many, MacGuffins you can put into a universe to defeat the
True.
big baddie.
Sure.
I think in a comic too, didn't Nebula also kill Thanos as well?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm trying to
remember
find
hearing
a
about
list
that.
of Thanos killers.
How did all these people kill Thanos?
Good question. How did that
Is it,
happen?
is it like a multiverse kind of deal?
Yeah, why did that happen with so many different people? It had to have been a multiverse, I would think.
Well, I mean, comics by their very nature, because they're kind of modern graphical versions of myth, and myth is multiform. So they,
Different.
Yeah, they're rebooting arcs all the time.
Yeah.
Sure.
Huh.
Interesting.
Yeah, so in these different arcs, like Thanos is in the Infinity Saga, Annihilation, Thanos Imperative, the Infinity Conflict, Ultimates, and the Civil War. Thanos returns, so there's plenty of arcs.
I especially found it interesting when I discovered the alternate or the alternate reality where Thanos won the Infinity War
No, really?
and killed all the Avengers, and basically anyone else was sent down into like a giant pit against the Hulk, basically, and the Hulk would basically rip everybody else to shreds.
Oh my gosh.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was kind of insane.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, so it was in Annihilation. Drax the Destroyer kills Thanos before he can use the power cosmic to destroy all life. So in that one, Thanos wants to be the sole survivor.
Interesting.
Yeah. Thanos comes from the Greek word for death.
Oh, that's
Huh.
fitting for him.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be curious to see when Fantastic Four gets incorporated into this, if Galactus is going to be used. Because Silver Surfer's definitely got to be used. It's hard to do Fantastic Four and not incorporate Silver Surfer into the story.
Yeah. Right.
So, and if Silver Surfer
Right.
comes in, then Galactus, I would assume, would have to come in eventually too.
They've just got to do Fantastic Four well one of these times.
They'll get it
Yeah, they're
eventually.
very much 0 for 2, and that last one.
Third time's the
Oh my
charm.
god, that last one was so awful. Oh, that could be a 2-hour podcast on how not to make a superhero movie.
Mm.
Yeah. All right. Well, should we move on to the final movie of Phase 2, Ant-Man?
Before we do, I just have to commend Age of Ultron for really making a mess of things physically. Like they caused a ton of damage.
Oh, I was just gonna say that.
The fact
And that plays in.
Civil
Yeah.
War starts from that place. Of
Yeah,
people
I
being
loved
upset.
that.
Yeah, that was great.
phenomenal because I don't know if you remember, Al, the Marvel TV shows on Netflix would kind of reference the New York event and how
Yep.
Hell's Kitchen got totally destroyed during Avengers 1 and what happened. And I thought even lip service to something like that was cool, but the fact that the entire root story element for Civil War was from the destruction that they had been causing.
Yeah.
That gave such a level of continuity to the series.
I love that too. I feel like there have been very few movies, TV shows, I guess the whole superhero genre that have dealt with the implications of superhero and supervillain fights.
Well,
I thought that was really cool too.
It adds to Stark's position because I think he's wrong. Obviously.
It does.
Cap
You
is
think he's
always
wrong?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No,
absolutely.
I think Civil War is the one place where Cap is dead wrong.
No, Captain America is. Oh,
Oh,
man,
boy.
save it for Phase 3.
I know the next debate we're gonna have.
Hold it up. Hold it up.
Yeah, save that debate for Phase 3. We got ourselves
Wow.
a huge discussion there.
I didn't realize that you were so wrong, Al.
I love Cap, but yeah, I can't get on board.
I will
with
let
him
you
in
know
Civil
where I
War.
stand after I watch that again.
I'm so shocked that you think that. I'm gonna hold it all, but gosh, all right, let's move on to Ant-Man. Let's wrap this up. I need to get out of here.
I feel like Ant-Man was it felt minuscule compared to Age of
It did.
Ultron.
Oh, God,
I
yeah.
enjoyed it, but it does feel like a filler to keep kind of like movies rolling out a little bit.
And
I
I don't know
yeah.
how it wasn't really taking itself seriously either, like because Paul Rudd is the main character.
I don't think there's any way Ant-Man could have taken itself seriously.
See, I think he does a great job.
I think too.
As skirting the line between humor and drama. Here's what I think is good about Ant-Man. They don't pretend that just because it's Phase 2 for everyone else that they can introduce a character with the depth and controversy of all the other Phase 2 movies. I mean, this is the third Iron Man we've seen, the second Thor, but the third movie he's been in. We know these characters. We've seen the whole infancy stage, the innocent stage.
Sure.
So the fact that they were willing to take it so late in the game and say, yeah, but here's a new guy who doesn't really know everything that's going on at the galactic level. I thought that was smart. That was a good choice to not pretend like you could just throw three characters who hadn't been in the movie into Justice or Marvel. Like that was because that's the alternative is to say, hey, here's Cyborg, here's the Flash, here's Aquaman. You haven't heard of these characters, but
They're here.
Love them. Let's throw them into this deep drama without giving them any exposition at all.
Yep.
That's true. That's a good
Yeah.
point. We've seen that play out.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think he grows into a pretty excellent part of even Civil War, one movie later. I think he does really well blending, but they just needed to give him that on-ramp.
I think the villain of Ant-Man is the weakest in the entire of Phase 2.
Yeah. Oh yeah. In Phase 2, no question about it.
Yeah, I watched it today and I still couldn't tell you his name.
Yeah, I don't know his name either.
That guy from House of Cards.
There was a
That
villain
guy.
in Ant-Man?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
guy.
The guy in the
bald
yellow
one.
jacket or something like that.
Yeah, that's his name. I can't. It's like Jeremy John.
You're throwing me under the bus here. I get it.
Oh
I
no, that's
understand.
your name. Hold on.
You know, this movie
Darren.
was
It's Darren Cross.
Darren Cross.
Jeremy.
The the movie ended up being a lot better than I anticipated. When the trailer came out, I didn't really expect much from it. I walked out a little bit more encouraged by it than I would ever thought. I thought I was going to walk out and go, whatever. But it ended up being a lot better than I thought. I think Paul Rudd helped that because I like Paul Rudd as an actor.
Yeah.
But I am glad, though, that this didn't start a new phase, though, because this would have been a weak opening to a phase, especially
for
Phase
sure.
3. But if you compare this movie, this is supposed to be the closing of Phase 2. If you compare it to the other closing films of the other two phases, it definitely pales in comparison. It's very weak.
Mhm.
Because, I mean, Spider-Man Far From Home, did a great job of ending that whole Peter Parker and Tony Stark relationship and how much he really felt like he really needed him to swing on from it.
So I'm not listening.
What?
Danny hasn't seen Far From Home yet.
Oh.
Give me
Okay,
a
never mind.
thumbs
No,
up when
no
you're
more.
done.
No
Go
more.
ahead
No
and
more.
talk
No more.
about it.
You put it on. No more. I won't say no more. No more.
Did
But,
you tell him how Gwen dies in Far From Home?
Ah. That broke my heart in the Andrew Garfield Spider-Mans.
I think it's because I'm an Emma Stone fan.
Yeah.
That's why it really hurt.
Yeah.
Me too. Me
Mhm.
too.
Yeah.
Snap heard around the world.
So I
Alistair, you're terrible.
oh gosh.
And there is your It's Sticky moment of the podcast.
So I felt where Ant-Man wasn't crazy deep. It wasn't Marvel caliber based on, like you said, the endings of the phases or where Marvel was at the current time. But one thing it was awesome to watch. That was a beautiful movie, and those effects were so cool. Like
Yeah.
They were cool.
like the
Yeah.
train riding on the track, and it's this
Yeah.
dramatic thing, and then it switches to real life, and it's like,
It was
I
the
just-
first Marvel heist movie.
yeah, there you go. There's another
Yeah.
one.
There it is.
That's true.
Yeah, that fight scene. What you're right, Dan. Those were pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really laughing at that part.
It probably has some of the best effects in the movies, actually, because it's the
Yeah.
way they just transition from being big to small and the set designs and how everything's intermixed. It doesn't look fake at all. Everything
And I
looks
loved,
Yeah.
I loved all the
Yeah.
ants. The ants were
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's a great example of how, if handled correctly, you can introduce things that are fantastical without the movie feeling super lame. Because I think that's DC's fear, is that if they introduce these unusual or supernatural or crazy science fiction elements, that it takes away from the immersiveness or rawness of the movie. And I don't think that's necessarily the case. Though I guess Ant-Man wasn't really raw.
No, but you know what? Ant-Man, for what it is, though, I'll take it for what it is. If
Yeah.
I don't compare it to what came before it, it's a good starter movie for a mini little trilogy that's probably going to come out of it. I don't know if there's even going to be an Ant-Man 3 at this rate.
There is. Yeah,
There
they're planning a sequel with the Wasp as well.
Nice.
Oh, there you go. So there you go.
We'll see
So
how it
yeah,
goes.
yeah. I'll be curious to see how that storyline goes with him.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and honestly, the heist element to it was kind of like a shadow of the direction that they took Endgame, because that was a time heist in a sense,
yeah,
And so
that's
it had
true.
the same kind of planning and execution and synchronization that a heist movie has, and I think Ant-Man is the only real precursor to that in the series.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the events from Ant-Man play a huge part in that.
Yeah.
Huh.
Overall, I think Phase 2 is a really strong phase.
Hmm.
With a lot of, and I also note with a lot of underrated movies in the phase.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Okay, well, have we reached the part where we favorite, and we're gonna do something different. Instead of giving each movie a number scale, let's just pick our favorite. Let's just pick our favorite of Phase 2 and our least favorite of Phase 2. Let's make it a little easier.
Okay.
Favorite of Phase 2 is Age of Ultron. Least favorite is Iron Man 3.
Okay.
James Spader being the key right there, and
Agreed.
I'm still not over the Mandarin from Iron Man 3.
I'm gonna have
does
to
hurt.
say favorite is Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and my least favorite, I guess it's probably going to be Guardians or Ant-Man. I think I'm going to go with Guardians. And again, it's not because of Guardians, but it's because Guardians 2 has everything that I would need from Guardians. So Guardians, in a sense, kind of becomes a throwaway movie for me. I know it doesn't deserve that. I know I'm being unjust right now. But yeah, it's got to be Winter Soldier and Guardians.
Okay. What about you, Al?
Favorite, Age of Ultron. Least favorite, Hulk.
Nice.
That seems fitting.
And probably Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is
interesting for you to say that, because I do think the Hulk in Age of Ultron is the worst of Hulk for me. Maybe he's a little bit worse in Infinity War.
Huh.
I understand what you're coming from there.
Yeah. I'm gonna start with least favorite, and I think my least favorite has probably got to be Iron Man 3. And mainly because of the Mandarin. I cannot look past that. It's just, I remember that pissing me off so much when I saw it, and even to this day, watching it again this week, I'm like, still pisses me off. Still pisses me off.
Here,
I can't get over it.
I'm going to interrupt you, Mike, for just a second
ahead.
here. Another reason why Iron Man 3 is so low on my list, it's the third installment of a film like a superhero. I expected more from it.
Yeah.
Then
Trailers made it look like it was going to be a lot more from it too.
You know, that's a point I hadn't heard before. That's a really fair point. It was more so an experimental movie in the larger scheme of things than it was something like Thor 3. Nobody disputes Thor 3. Nobody disputes Civil War. Like the original guys, their third installment is phenomenal. Nobody disputes Infinity War. That's a really, really good point.
Bravo, Jeremy.
Yeah.
That was a fantastic argument.
That's why you're paying the big bucks.
Wait, you guys are getting paid?
Come on, Bud Light. You know you want to be here. No, I agree. Iron Man 3, I mean, yeah, I expected more from it. When you compare it to the other third movies in this universe, it pales. It pales very much in comparison. I mean, look how big Civil War was for Captain America.
Yeah.
Huge.
Civil War was so big, people thought it was an Avengers installment.
That's what it feels like. It feels like another Avengers movie. And then, like, even with Ragnarok, I mean, we know it's not the end of the trilogy, though, now. So that's kind of a hard argument to make, but it's the third movie in a series, and it's 10 times better than Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
You know? But favorite of Phase 2, this is where I'm having a hard time, because I'm on edge with this, and I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I'm gonna say my favorite of Phase 2 is The Dark World.
Ooh, the controversial.
I applaud you.
I like
it. I applaud you, Mike.
I gotta go with it. I love the L storyline. I like that Thor matures, and
I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
You know what I don't like? I didn't mention this when we were talking about it because I'm so quick to defend it. Thor's costume for the feast after they bring peace to the Nine Realms, after they get back from, he's wearing like a black cloak. Is that supposed to hint that he's like in mourning for not being able to talk with Jane? It just doesn't look very cool. It's a silly thing to point out, I guess, but
It's Asgardian.
No, I see what you mean by that.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up. I don't remember what it looks like. Dude.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Picture that he puts a black sheet over himself.
That's
and
pretty much it.
It's like
maybe
a
he
black
just woke up.
toga.
Maybe he just woke up too
No, because
late.
he's still wearing
Didn't
the
have
Thor
time.
armor underneath.
Yeah,
it.
well, and compare that to friggin' Infinity War Thor, where he's got like the electricity jumping between those baubles.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Interesting. Okay. Well, for the first time, we didn't do a number rating scale, but I kind of like doing it that way better. That was a little bit.
I suck so bad at numbers. That's the way to go for me anyway.
That was a little bit easier. Plus, when we have 6 movies, it's a little easier to do the favorite and favorite.
Last time I did numbers and the Star Wars ones, you guys like really threw me under the bus there.
Yeah.
He's still scarred.
I don't know, man. You Jeremy and Alice are the only two to give a Star Wars movie a 5.
Gotta be fair.
Yeah.
All is fair in Love and Thunder.
I'm just gonna rank that one a 2 for right off the bat.
Just for its title alone.
Just for its title. I'm not even gonna go see it.
Oh, you will. Yes, you will.
No, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure I will. I jest.
That was good.
All right, so we came up with that new plan. Since Phase 3 is so big, we will do a Part 1 and a Part 2 podcast because there's just too much to go through, of course, in one Phase 3.
So what are we watching up to?
Let's see. So Phase 3 is how many films?
Oh, it's like
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
11 films.
So it's Captain America: Civil War,
Okay.
Doctor Strange, Guardians Volume 2, Spider-Man: Homecoming, Thor: Ragnarok, and Black Panther. I think that'd be a good place to stop, Black Panther. So that way we could cover both Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame in the same podcast.
Yep.
I
like that
agree.
plan.
Because I was thinking about that. I was thinking, because Ragnarok is kind of that good bookend as well to go into Infinity War. But Black Panther starts first.
Yeah,
but
Black Panther, yeah.
yeah, so yeah, that's good. And then you save the Infinity Wars and Endgame for that. Yeah, I agree.
Oh my gosh, that's gonna be such a hard one to pick favorites from.
Oh, what the last part?
You mean the second half?
The first half is gonna be
part
hard.
one.
Yeah,
Part 1 of that is gonna be terrible. Part 2 will be a little bit easier, I
I'm
think.
thinking about that now, and
yeah,
I'm already
it
having a
might
hard time
be
with
the
that.
strongest half phase.
Yeah.
So we got.
Oh no, I know my least favorite already.
So
Well, yeah.
so we got the order of those to figure out which one's our favorite and worst, and then we got the Cap versus Iron Man debate between Alistair and Dan. That's going to be a
Oh
good,
my gosh, I can't believe that.
Oh, we lost out.
He left.
Oh,
Good.
we lost out.
Good riddance. Get him out of here.
Alistair has left the building.
He might not be alone.
Oh wait. Oh,
He's coming back.
he's just a picture to talk to right now.
What happened now? You get
What the
scared?
heck happened?
Sorry.
He got scared off of his computer.
I was thinking of Love and Thunder and I got angry.
Fair enough.
We
Did you
thought
write?
were-
Did you write an angry note to the studio saying this cannot be the title? What are you thinking?
Although Dan, I'm really sorry, but I might be with Alistair on the Civil War debate.
Okay. Al and Jeremy, where do you guys stand? I got to know where I'm at here.
Oh, I think Tony's exactly right with his.
Exactly right? You're not
Okay.
even saying he's right.
No.
You think he's exactly right?
I shouldn't. Yeah, I don't want to eat my words later. I will say that I generally agree with his concept of accountability.
Oh, wow. I at least respected you for being able to hold your opinion before.
No. I, in a general sense, I think Tony is more right, but I know that there's a lot of gray area to deal with for both sides.
I can't wait.
Mm.
I can't wait to talk about this.
Oh
movie.
boy, I'm gonna have my work cut out for me now.
Idiots.
I am literally going to have to analyze Civil War now to the T because I got to make sure that I have a huge standpoint of where I stand. I'm going to be like the ultimate voice at the end of this because
Yeah.
this.
Well, Alice,
I don't know.
Jeremy, don't watch it too many times because then you'll change your mind and become right. And
All right.
I'm
Fair
excited
enough.
for it.
Fair enough.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you all for listening, and anybody that's watched on Facebook Live, thank you for joining us. And you can listen to the podcast, the video feed tomorrow, and we will see you all on Phase 3, Part 1. Woo.